is Natalie, and I am your Thursday hostess for Witches of the Moon, which you are tuned into right now this minute, as I'm sure you're well aware. This week we are discussing the differences between ritual and spell. Now, for me, those differences are as different as the definitions. When we talked about the differences between prayer and petition, I see spell and ritual much the same way. So let me start by giving you Webster's Dictionary's definition of a ritual. It is a ritual. A ritual is something that is always done in a particular situation and in the same way each time. Okay. Now, that being said, some people are very ritualistic in their spellcraft. And what I mean by that is, for us as witches, ritual can mean, or usually means, something done in celebration of something. So, for example, the turning of the year wheel, the sabbats, we recognize those times, those changes in the seasons, such as the solstices and the equinox, and the different sabbats that we have through the context of ritual. Not every witch celebrates sabbats. I know the Lady Grave Dancer is not a sabbat person, she's more a season person. She recognizes the seasons. But I know she does conduct rituals. So a ritual is a formal ceremony celebrating something particular or something that's done in a certain way each time. That's a grand ritual, okay? I'm going to make a difference here between grand ritual and ritual in and of itself. Because again, your spellcraft may be very ritualistic. And what I mean by that is, going back to the discussion of the differences between prayer and petition, you may have petition within your prayer, but not all prayer is petition, and not all petition is prayer. Same thing with ritual and spellcraft. Some people may do spell work, cast spells within the context of a ritual, which I will sometimes do when I'm doing a sabbat ritual. If I have a specific working or something I'm doing, like around the time of the spring, I may do a spell within my ritual for, say, Ostara, that will bring prosperity to me because we are planting the seeds. The seeds are starting to grow, so that's the time to do that. I may also do something at a harvest ritual where I'm not only giving thanks for the bounty I've received in the past year, but I will also plant seeds, so to speak, for the upcoming seasons, for prosperity and so forth, or maybe strength, or whatever it is that I want to accrue that season. So I may conduct spells within the context of my rituals, but I often cast spells without much of a ritual at all. However, some people have certain steps that before they will cast spells, they will go through certain steps, and that is considered a ritual. If you're doing the same thing each time, for example, before I'm doing any kind of a large working, I always cast spells. I may give some small incantation at the beginning of the day. For example, when I'm making my daughter's lunches for school, on her sandwiches, I will always put a sigil. And I always say, by Lord and by Lady, protected she, as I will it so mote to be. That's a ritual. I do it every time I make her a sandwich. I draw the sigil on her sandwich with the condiments that she chooses, usually mustard and or ketchup. So I will also call on elements to help protect her or give her strength or see her through her day or whatever. And that is a ritual. I do that every time I make her lunch for school, but I don't necessarily, and it is also spell, but I do not, I'm not sitting there setting up my altar and making her lunch on my altars and that kind of thing. So it's not a grand ritual, so to speak. So again, I'm going to kind of differentiate between grand spells, grand rituals, and lesser rituals or lesser spells. So, when I walk out my door, I may give some small incantation. That's a spell, but I'm not necessarily following a specific ritualized thing. When I'm going to do a grand spell, or what I consider a big working, if I'm working a spell for someone else, or there's something major that I really want to focus my visualization on, I do have rituals I'll go through that are not considered a ritual, like a sabbat ritual. I don't bust out the big altar and set up all the candles and the altar cloth and all of that, but I will cleanse myself. I will take a ritual shower, and I will use specific soaps that I create that are imbued with specific herbs for protection and power and what have you, and I craft those soaps to the workings. So if I'm doing a prosperity spell, I have a special soap that I will cleanse myself with when I do that, that has herbs and energies imbued in it which are specific to that particular working, to help clear my mind and get my mind focused on that goal so I can visualize that outcome better in my spell working. So in that context, there are rituals that we do that are involved. If you are a circle caster and you cast a circle before you do any kind of spell work, that for you is a ritual. So you can see that rituals can be imbued within your spell work. You might conduct spell work within a grand ritual, but it does not necessarily have to be so. And there are a lot of people that don't consider themselves ritualistic, but we really do. We're creatures of habit. We do things almost ritualistic every day. I can honestly say, if you kiss your partner goodbye before you walk out the door, that is a ritual. A ritual is something you do all the time, the same way, frequently. Maybe not every day, but pretty frequently. That's your ritual. You may have a ritual before going to bed. So to me, there's a big difference between grand rituals and just general rituals or lesser rituals. So you may wash your hands before you do a spell, or like a small working of some sort, things like that. So that to me really defines the difference between a ritual and a spell. A spell is anytime you are calling upon the energies or calling upon deity or or a combination of these factors to produce a certain result. Okay, that is a spell. A spell can be conducted with rituals, simple rituals, or in the context of a grand ritual. You may be doing a full Sabbat ritual, and you may decide to do some spell work within the context of your ritual. So again, spell casting is something that's different. A simple, just money, bring to me as I will it, so mote it be. That's a spell. Okay. You're sending some sort of something out to the universe, and you're expecting some result back from that. You're putting out your energy and visualizing. But you can be more focused and have a more complex ritual spell that you may be working on, and you may have certain rituals you do for that, but you don't necessarily, like me. If I'm doing just a working, even if it's a grand working, I might set up my altar, and I might utilize my altar for that, but I don't necessarily have to. I often do a lot of my spell work in my kitchen because I like to burn my cauldron on my stove because of safety reasons. I don't like anything around it. Cauldrons tend to get very hot, especially if you're doing any kind of fire magic with it. So they tend to get really, really warm, and I don't want to take a risk of burning down my house. Explain that one to your insurance company. So that for me really defines the difference between a ritual and a spell. A ritual is anything that you do over and over and over again in a very similar manner, or much the same way each time that you do it. So you may have rituals that are associated with your spell work, such as the ritual cleansing or the cleansing of your space before doing a spell, but they don't have to be ensconced in a grand ritual that you're doing, which is a celebration of something, or a recognition or thanksgiving for something, such as a Sabbat ritual. I realize that this video is not horribly long. I don't really feel that there's a lot more I can say on this topic other than, please give me your feedback if you have something that you feel that I've said completely in error. It does happen. But these are my personal ideas, how I organize it in my brain. And I assume that everybody's watching this video to get some perspective that may be different from their own or similar to their own or what have you before forming their own opinions on that. So I hope that this has been helpful to you. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the down bar or in the comment section. Sorry, not in the down bar, in the comment section, or to look me up on Facebook and send me a message. Thank you so much, and y'all have a wonderful day. Blessed be.